Okay, yesterday after our show, it looks like Bitcoin dipped back to 94,138. But now, Bitcoin is going back into the positive trend line, as you can see over here on the daily. And at the same time, you've got alts rallying. So now a lot of people are asking, all right, what should we buy and when should we buy? Should we be deploying now? Should we be waiting? And if we are deploying now, what should we buy? So what I decided to do was to actually put together a masterclass and to show you exactly what you should be buying, exactly when you should be buying, and also to show you the thinking behind it. It's not only like building a buy list, but also how do you think about actually building a buy list. This is going to be one of the biggest shows and the most informative shows that I've done in a long time. So get your pen and paper out. Get your pen and paper out, because we're going to give a buy list and you're going to need to act quick. So let's go. I do apologize for the delay. Before the show, Josh was on Pornhub on my computer and there were so many tabs open that I had to shut them down each individually, and it just took me a hell of a long time. So I do apologize for that, and I will make it up to you, because remember, today on the show, we are giving away the 3 Christmas boxes. I'm gonna have to put on my Christmas hat and give away in the 3 Christmas boxes. If you're not already, so number 1, Josh, can you run a poll? Box 1, box 2, or box 3? And at the end of the show, we'll do it. We'll actually select a winner for that show. All right, so we've got a big show today because we can see that the market is now rebounding. And when the market rebounds, at some point, we have to change our thesis to say, okay, maybe there is going to be a correction, but it's not going to be the correction. And for me, that invalidation actually comes in 2 places. The first invalidation comes if we can close above this trend line on the daily and we can close back in the positive trend. Then I need to say, okay, hold on a second. Maybe the correction is not coming now. Because remember, as an investor and as a trader, what you need to do is you need to adjust yourself to what the market is doing. When the market breaks down from a positive, an upward trend, then that means that you say, okay, we could be bearish for now. When we go back into the trend line, you say, okay, we could be going bullish now. And so for me, the final confirmation will say, if we can close above this level over here, which is like the $99,500 level, then I would say that we are very safely in the safe zone. And for now, the correction may be postponed until further notice. So that's what I'm looking to do right now. And so a lot of people are now asking me, if Bitcoin is now in this range, as you can see, if Bitcoin is now in this range and altcoins are now rebounding after we got an amazing buy opportunity, should you actually be deploying money, and where should you be deploying money? And that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you whether you should be deploying money, how much of your bags you should be deploying, and where you should be deploying that money into. It's going to be a masterclass today. I promise you, it's going to be a masterclass. So I was late, but here I am, bringing you crypto love and crypto wisdom. At one point, we were going to cancel the show when all those tabs that Josh had open on my computer, they were just bogging down my computer's memory, but now it's all fixed. All right, so listen, if you're not already subscribed, don't subscribe yet, but if you like what I tell you today, then I want you to subscribe. Remember, we are giving away the Christmas box at the end, so if you're not already subscribed to Bybit, 𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗧, do that now so that you can sign up. All right, let's get straight into it, because I think everybody actually is here for the alpha. No one's here for the nicety. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, so this is what happened. Yesterday after the show, we said we saw Bitcoin break down even further. It went down to 94,108. And the truth is that all the altcoins started to drop, and you got amazing buys on a lot of the altcoins. Now we are recovering. We're back into this $99,000 level. And if you close above this level, then you got to say to yourself, this correction is possibly now over, and we have to live to fight another day and either deploy the cash or keep our cash for the correction. That's what we'll talk about today. This break is obviously causing the altcoins to start running again, but they're still much cheaper than they were a week ago. And so there's still amazing buy opportunities. And the question is, where should you actually be deploying your cash? I think one thing that the market showed us yesterday was that there are some clear bull market levels in the altcoins right now. And so we need to keep looking at those bull market levels. The first one obviously is this level that we're at now, which is the 98.99 level. But then what we saw yesterday was that there was massive support around the $94,000 level on Bitcoin. And there was massive support around the $3,500 level on ETH. And the same thing when you look at Solana. So if we go back to the charts and we look at Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin had huge support over here. And then if you go to the ETH chart and you look at the ETH chart, over here, what you can see is that around 2,500, 3,500, there was massive support. And the same thing with Solana. So now those have become the key levels that we're going to be looking at. The good thing is that the funding is completely reset. Basically, all the leverage, all the froth was completely flushed out the market. And so now we are back at normal funding rates. You can borrow at 10.95% on Bybit on pretty much any coin that you want. That is a very healthy flush of leverage. And so what I did was, just to give you an update on what I did was, when I saw the market actually recovering, the first thing I did was I closed my RSR short, because that RSR short was about $150,000 in profit. The second thing I did was I closed half of my Pepe short, because you can see I took $20,000. I've still got $6,980. And to be honest, I think now that we've invalidated this thing, I'm actually going to close this trade. So I'm quickly going to go and close the remainder of this trade. It's a short, so I need to go slightly higher. And I'm going to confirm, bang, confirm, gone. So now I've closed that short, $25,000 up. I'm still keeping my XRP short open. I'll explain to you in a second why I'm keeping the XRP short open. But that's exactly what I did. And so that's basically the play that I did. Now, you may be asking, all right, look, we are about 15 to 20% in cash. What are we doing with the cash? Because as you know, in a bull market, you need to put your cash to work. And the big question is whether you should put your cash to work now or whether you should be waiting, right? Now, the truth is, right now, we will talk about that. But I think that if you are sitting in cash now, then there's only one place that you should be putting your cash, and that's your cash should be sitting in Athena. And the reason why I say your cash should be sitting in Athena, because in a bull market, there's a big opportunity cost to holding cash, right? Like if you're holding cash and the charts are doing this, so if the charts start doing this and you're holding cash, the opportunity cost of holding cash in a bull market is very expensive. Like imagine you're earning 30% a year, but the markets are going up on average, the markets are going up 550%. That's a massive opportunity cost of actually having a lot of cash on the side. So you don't want to be having, in a bull market, you don't want to be having any cash on the side. The only time that I'd say it's fine to have cash is if you've got your cash in Athena. And the reason why I say that it's good to have your cash in Athena is because on Athena, you are actually earning 30%. So what I'm saying is if you are holding cash and you don't just want to be holding cash or you want to be putting your cash to work, take Athena, and what you can do is you can just put your Athena onto Bybit and you're going to get 29% just by putting your Athena onto Bybit, and there's no staking and there's no lockups, which means that you can basically just use the cash whenever you want. So you're getting 29% APR on Athena. So again, if you are holding cash, and I do believe that you should be holding cash at this stage of the game, and I'll show you in a bit later why, have that cash in Athena. And when you have the cash in Athena, you are earning 30%. Now, not today, but I will actually show you how you can get like 100% return on Athena. It requires some leveraging against a stablecoin, but it is a relatively safe strategy. Someone says it's Celsius, bro. I don't think it is Celsius, but that's why I wouldn't put all your cash in Athena. But that is, if you're going to be putting cash to work, that's effectively where I'd be putting cash to work. Although, as I said, ideally, you don't want to be having too much cash that is not working in tokens in a bull market. And that's what we're going to talk about later on in the show. Specifically, if you think that the bull market's going to be shorter. Now, I think a lot of people are starting to come around to that theory or thesis that I had, that this bull market is going to be slightly shorter. I saw Crypto said another 3 to 6 months. And I saw a lot of other tweets saying this bull market will end in Q1 next year. So you really have very limited time to actually make these life-changing gains. And so what's important is that you actually select the right coins and make sure that you invest in the right coins. So let's quickly look at what's actually going on and why the market suddenly flipped. So yesterday when we spoke, the market went down to 94,000 and the altcoins were bleeding, absolutely bleeding. So what changed yesterday? What took Bitcoin above this trend line? What was the thing that gave it the momentum, right? And what gave it the momentum was a couple of things. The first thing is MicroStrategy. And remember that this was the risk for me. But then there was an announcement made that MicroStrategy would actually be included in the QQQ, or the NASDAQ 100 index. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, there is a an index of the top 100 stocks in the NASDAQ. And there are a lot of funds that actually offer exposure to the NASDAQ top 100. So they are ETFs, stocks, funds, etc., which basically create a mimic of the NASDAQ 100. So for people who just want to invest in the NASDAQ 100, they would now need to go and buy MicroStrategy in every single one of those portfolios. So just imagine that Moderna was actually in the NASDAQ, and Moderna was actually taken out, and MicroStrategy has now been confirmed to go back in. So generally, and I haven't looked at the chart, but generally what I'd expect is I'd expect the Moderna stock to go down. So that's the Moderna stock. I would have expected the Moderna stock to go down on that announcement, and I think you can pretty much see that it did. And then the MicroStrategy stock was going to go up. And the reason why that happened is because now all these index tracking funds and the QQQ and the ETFs, what they have to do is they all have to buy MicroStrategy to make sure that their people have exposure, right? So that was the first thing that happened. And the reason why that has an effect on Bitcoin is because, think about it like this. The higher the price of MicroStrategy, the more Bitcoin Michael Saylor can buy by giving the fixed income guys the conversion at a higher number, right? So now you're in a situation where the share price is going to go up, and because the MicroStrategy share price is going to go up, Michael Saylor is going to be able to buy more Bitcoin, and that's going to push the Bitcoin price up. So that is what the first part of what actually drove things up. Just by the way, I see 799 likes. Do you know that Sheldon got 13,000 likes on his show today? On his show yesterday? 13,000. I wonder if we can beat that 13,000. Let's show Sheldon how we beat that 13,000. So go and smash the like button. Let's show Sheldon that we can get more likes than he can get on his show. I'm counting on you guys. All right, the second thing that happened yesterday was that a Trump. Now, there's a lot of Trumps. Now, there's a new Trump on the block, Eric Trump. Now, we've seen Trump Jr., now we've seen Eric Trump. Now, Eric Trump went and spoke yesterday at the Abu Dhabi Bitcoin conference, right? And he came out extremely bullish on Bitcoin. I mean, this is a game changer from the son of the incoming president. It just shows what the sentiment is in the Trump family around Bitcoin. I want to show you how the sentiment is so strong.
I can tell you a lot of eyes were opened when Bitcoin hit 100,000. And I can tell you a hell of a lot more eyes are going to be opened when Bitcoin hits 1 million. And I'm confident it's going to hit 1 million. I think we're all confident in this room that it's going to hit 1 million.
So I think just pinch yourself for a second. That is the son of the incoming president talking about Bitcoin like that. He didn't stop there. Now, this is about a couple of minutes, but it's really worth watching.
Over the last 4 years.
Amazing. Well, we really appreciate it, and we appreciate the support of your father. So one of the things that sort of really took me by surprise is just how much I spoke with your brother at Nashville, actually, Don Jr., and we were talking, and I was just amazed at how sort of educated you've become. You really seem to have understood the technology a lot. This wasn't just like, oh, people like Bitcoin, I guess we'll be pro-Bitcoin. It seems like you've really done your homework. What has that process been like for you and your family?
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a bricks and mortars guy. I've spent my entire life walking construction sites, and people always ask, okay, so you build buildings, you build golf courses, you build commercial buildings, you operate these buildings every day. Kind of why the love? Because I think they can hear the real sincerity in our voices, right? Where these aren't sound bites. And if you really look at real estate, it's tangible. You can feel it. It has energy. And when you look at Bitcoin, it's actually very much the same, but it has so many of the counterbalances that might otherwise be considered flaws of real estate. And listen, we're a real estate family. It's what we love. It's what we know. We know it better than anybody. But if you want to talk about a hedge against real estate, I mean, think about something that's immediately liquid.
Yep.
Right? And that's what cryptocurrency is. If I have a hotel, I can spend 5 years, I can build a hotel. If I want to sell that hotel, it could take me 2 years to sell that property. Now, there are a lot of benefits to real estate. There's a lot of leverage benefits to real estate. There's a lot of tax benefits to real estate. But real estate is illiquid. What's a better hedge to real estate than something that's instantaneously liquid?
So, right? I mean, that is the son. I mean, again, like I said, you got to pinch yourself and say, that is the son of the incoming president talking about how his family have bought into Bitcoin. Now, I want to just show you something that I think I may be reading into between the lines here. But yesterday, there was an article that said, hold on, let me just see if I can actually get you guys the headlines. But what it said is that President Trump really cares about the price of Bitcoin. And I don't know where exactly he said it. He said, but President Trump really cares about the price of Bitcoin, and he's going to be watching it to basically go up. And I thought to myself, why would you care so much about the price of Bitcoin if you weren't holding any Bitcoin? Why would you care so much about the Bitcoin? Why would you say that you're going to be watching to make sure the price of Bitcoin actually goes up if you weren't either intending to buy a whole lot of Bitcoin or holding a whole lot of Bitcoin yourself? Why do you even care? And so I really think that the Trump family is much, much, much more all in on crypto and Bitcoin than we actually think. And I think that that's going to start coming out soon. I mean, just imagine that the son of the president went to speak at a Bitcoin conference again and was so bullish on Bitcoin. I almost had to pinch myself and say, like, we've just come from Kamala and Joe Biden and Gary Gensler, and we've come into like polar opposite land. So that is like such a change in paradigm, and that is what actually caused Bitcoin to start pumping back into this positive trend line. Now, as I said before, I am expecting a correction. Hold on, someone said, let's just see one of the okay, he highlighted it for us. One of our okay, it's fine. Okay, so let's just we'll go back there in a second. But so that is what, as an investor, as a trader, you've got to move with the market. When the market breaks trend, you've got to say, okay, there's a risk of actually going down. When the market goes above trend, you've got to say, okay, my thesis that there is going to be a correction now is invalidated, and now I've got to start riding the wave. And so now we're sitting on 20% on cash or 15% on cash, and people are asking, where must I put this money, or how must I deploy the money? And this is where the masterclass actually starts. So initially I was going to give you guys a buy list, and then I was like, and I am going to give you a buy list, but then I was like, it's not about the buy list. It's actually about getting you guys to understand how I think when I actually create these buy lists, right? And so today may be a little bit more technical. You may actually need to get your pen and papers out, because I'm actually going to show you how to think about building your own portfolios and your own buy lists and whatever. Because the truth is, I got to be honest, I can give you a buy list of the stuff that I'm buying, but listen, if your portfolio is different from my portfolio, then my buy list is going to be completely different from your buy list. Like right now, I'm very, very heavy in Solana from the first part of the bull market, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're much heavier on base and ETH, and then that means that your buy list has to be different from my buy list, right? So I developed a framework which I basically want to talk to you about today. And it's basically to show you how to build the buy list, and then we'll give, at the end of it, we'll actually have a buy list that hopefully we all agree on, or that will be relevant for some of us and not as relevant for some of the others. So if you like that, as I say, destroy the like button. We have to get 13. Sheldon got 13. Let's just quickly check. How many did Sheldon get yesterday? He told me he got 13,000. Is it possible that he got 13,000 likes? I don't know. Hold on a second. Let's have a look here. Crypto banter. I don't think it's possible that he got 13,000. I don't think it's possible that he got 13,000 likes. But with Sheldon, anything's possible, sir. Okay, so let's just check what he did yesterday. He got. Let's look at Sheldon's yesterday show. That's his yesterday show. Got 100,000 views. That's big. And how many likes? He got 12,000. He did. He got 12,000 likes. All right, you guys have got work to do. Let's get going with the framework, the buying framework, or basically how do we do it? So I think the buying framework starts off with two questions or two decisions that you have to make, right? The first thing is, what are you buying? And the next thing is, when are you actually going to be buying it? I think that's pretty obvious, right? And so basically I said the decisions that you have to make are, what are you actually going to be buying, and when are you actually going to be buying it? Now, in terms of your buy list, which is the what are you actually buying, what you got to do is you got to say, what do you believe is going to happen in the next part of your cycle? So the first question you got to ask yourself is, what are your beliefs in terms of what's going to happen in the next part of your cycle? The next thing is, given what you believe is going to happen in the next part of the cycle, what is missing what is wrong or what is missing in your current portfolio? So we effectively ask ourselves two questions. Number one, what are you buying? Next thing is, when are you buying it? And to answer those questions, we say the following. What do you believe is going to happen in the next part of the cycle? And what is, if those things actually happen, what is going to happen? What do you need to add to your portfolio to make sure that your portfolio actually has all the tokens that you actually need? And so I'm going to show you what my beliefs are for the next part of the cycle. Now, your beliefs may be completely different. These are my beliefs. My first belief for the next part of the cycle is that Trump will be great for USA crypto. That was like my underlying premise. Given what I saw with the Trump family talking in Abu Dhabi, I think that Trump is going to be amazing for crypto in the United States, and is going to open up the United States for crypto, which is an ecosystem that has traditionally been very, very, very closed for crypto. So if this happens, what will this be good for? That's the question that I ask. And I say, okay, well, I think it's going to be good for Coinbase. I think it's going to be good for Base. I think it's going to be good for DeFi, and I think it's going to be good for real world assets. So why is it going to be good for Coinbase? Because now Coinbase is going to be able to operate a lot more and to give Americans a lot more access to a lot more altcoins. In terms of Base, if Coinbase opens up and starts onboarding a whole lot of people into crypto, the first chain that they're going to go on from Coinbase is going to be Base, right? So I think it's going to be very, very good for Base. Then I think it's going to be very good for DeFi. I think that yields, DeFi are going to be very good. And I think real world assets, this whole move to real world assets is going to be huge. So that is the first thesis, or the first part of my beliefs. The next part of my belief is that ETH will outperform Bitcoin in the next part of the cycle. And if ETH outperforms Bitcoin in the next part of the cycle, then I think that's going to be good for the ETH beta plays, right? So that's my first two. My third belief in this bull market is that memes, or let's say traditional memes, the memes that we all like have become used to, will be beaten by the AI agents and maybe even Bitcoin memes. I kind of think that the market is kind of like not lost interest. I think memes are going to be here for a long time. I think the popcats, the frogs, the woofs are going to be here for a long time. But I do believe that now we're moving into a new era of on-chain trading. The first era was pump.fun memes, which actually grew. And now I think that there's new kind of meme type narratives. And the new kind of meme type narratives are going to be AI agents and Bitcoin memes, right? And if that thesis actually lands up playing out, then I think that's going to be good for Base, because the majority of the AI agent infrastructure is happening on Base. I think that it's going to be good for the agent launch platforms like the AI funds and the virtuals platforms. And I think it's going to be very good for Bitcoin runes, because Bitcoin runes are like the meme coins that actually happen on Bitcoin. Then I think that gaming's finally going to have a run. And if gaming finally has a run, I think it's going to be very good for the gaming chains. I think it's going to be very good for the gaming studios. And I think it's going to be very good for gaming infrastructure coins. So I asked myself, what am I buying? And to ask myself, what am I buying? I say, what is my belief in the next part of the cycle? And my beliefs are really 4 beliefs for the next part of the cycle. 1, Trump is going to come in and Trump's going to be amazing for USA crypto. 2, ETH will outperform Bitcoin. 3, memes will be beaten, or in the next part of the cycle, the share of mind will go more towards AI than the normal memes. And the last one, 4, finally, I think that gaming is going to have a run. I think gaming is one of those narratives that hasn't had an amazing run in this bull market. And I think that that's slightly lagging, and I think I want to have a lot of exposure. So now I look at this and I say, okay, if this is what my belief system is, then what do I need? And so what I need is I need exposure to Base, exposure to ETH, exposure to real world assets, exposure to AI and specifically AI agents, exposure to gaming, and exposure to Bitcoin runes. So that is what my thesis is telling me that I need my portfolio to look like. Then I say, okay, that is what I need my portfolio to look like, but I need to compare it to my current portfolio. Now, you'll know that my current portfolio is very, very, very Solana heavy. You'll know that my current portfolio maybe isn't geared up to this. My current portfolio has a lot of meme coins like Pepe, like Frog, like Popcat. And so now the idea is to start shifting my current portfolio to start looking more like the ideal portfolio, which has a little bit more exposure to Base, a little bit more exposure to ETH, a little bit more exposure to real world assets, a little bit more exposure to AI, a little bit more exposure to gaming, and a little bit more exposure to Bitcoin runes. Okay, so now I know more or less what my portfolio needs to look like. Now I need to actually start selecting tokens. But the idea is, I could have given you just a list, but I wanted you to understand how I get to all these assumptions, okay? So in terms of selecting tokens, first of all, I need exposure to Base. Where do I get my exposure to Base? Well, there's a couple of things that you need to have if you're going to get exposure to base. The first thing is you want exposure to base. The first place that you can get exposure to base is get exposure to base on Coinbase. And so one of the tokens, or not even tokens, one of the stocks that I'd actually buy is I'd actually go out and buy some Coinbase, because I think that if I believe there's going to be a base run, then I want to go and buy some Coinbase stock. But I know that for you crypto guys, that's not exciting, right? And so what I'm looking at is I'm looking to buy the biggest DEX on base, which is called 𝗟𝗓𝗏, right? And the biggest DeFi play on base, which is called Morpho. And the reason why I'm saying that is because that combines my narratives, right? I think that it's going to be good for base, but I also think it's going to be good for DeFi. And so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for base exposure and DeFi exposure, right? And so what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to accumulate 𝗟𝗓𝗏, and I'm looking to get exposure to the biggest lending and borrowing platform, which is called Morpho. It's got $2.85 total value locked, and it's had exceptional growth. You can see how fast the growth of Morpho has actually been. Now, I know that some of these have run, but if you look at Morpho, I'm quickly going to take you to Morpho. If you look at Morpho, you'll see that it has come down quite significantly from the $2.75. Yes, at the peak of a dip, it went down to 146, but I would look to buy it. Don't buy it yet. And I'll show you in a second why I'm not buying it yet. I'll show you in a second why I'm not buying it yet. So that is my exposure to base. So I've covered my exposure to base, right? Then the next thing I said is I need exposure to gaming, right? So how do I get my exposure to gaming? Well, a lot of people will say, okay, well, just buy Super and just buy all the old ones. But I've got Super in my portfolio. And so now I'm looking to diversify and to get more gaming exposure in my portfolio. And so there's two tokens that I'm really trying to get my hands on, that I'm spending a lot of time on. The first one is Ronin. And the reason why I want to buy Ronin is because I think that Ronin is one of those sleeping giants. When I say sleeping giants, I don't think a lot of influencers are talking about it as much as they're talking about Beam or talking about Super or whatever else. But if you look at their monthly active addresses, they've got 3.673 million monthly active addresses with over with a million daily active addresses. These guys are doing something right. This is the chain that was built by the company that built 𝗥𝗓𝗏. And what they do now is they have a lot of games on this chain. They have tons and tons and tons of games. So Pixel, Wild Forest, Machines Arena, 𝗥𝗓𝗏. What they're doing is they are building and growing specifically on in Asia. There's a big usage in Asia. But then I thought to myself, hold on a second, but Ronin's not an exciting token. It doesn't move up and down as fast as a token like, for example, Super moves up and down. But then I pulled out this chart and I was like, hold on a second. If I look at the November lows, the rebound that we had in November was almost the same. So if I took, let's just quickly take Super here, just so you can see. So I took Super, USDT, and I said, all right, what was the November low for Super? And the November low actually was on the 4th of November over here. Here it is. And it is now up 100%. And then I went to Ronin and I said, okay, well, let's take the November low for Ronin and see how much Ronin has gone up since the November low. So over here. And you can see that it's also up about 70%. And so for me, I was like, okay, I need to get some exposure to Ronin. It's not going to move as fast as my super bags are going to move up, but it is something that I want to have in my bags. Next thing is Beam. And the reason why I'm going into Beam's making all the right noises. I don't know if you guys have been following Beam, but Beam is it was always a subnet on Avalanche, but now with the new Avalanche upgrade, it's launching as its own chain. And now they've also created the Beam AI division, and they announced today that they've got $150 million to invest in gaming and stuff like that. So they came out with a lot of announcements today. So for me, this is a big one that I'm actually investing in. So this is my gaming exposure. Then I need to have real world asset exposure. And for real world assets, I've basically got three that I'm adding to my portfolio. First one is Chainlink. Reason why I'm adding Chainlink to my portfolio, Chainlink is the king of real world assets. It is also the king of Ethereum. So if you think about Chainlink is mainly integrated. I know it's integrated into other chains, but it's mainly integrated into Ethereum. Now, Chainlink hasn't moved for a long time, and it's just started I want to actually zoom much further out for you guys, just so that you can get some perspective on where Chainlink is. It's one of those tokens that isn't even anywhere near its all-time high. Its all-time high was $54. It's at $23.90. So Chainlink is one that I would definitely be adding. Clearpool is one that I'd be adding. They're launching a real-world asset blockchain. And then Maple Finance is another one that I'd actually be growing, that their TVL is growing, etc., etc. So those would be my 3 picks for real-world assets. Okay, then we move on to AI, and specifically AI agents. I think that AI agents is going to be massive, right? I think it's going to be the next big thing. The market is going to be huge, and I think it's one of the first practical uses of AI. And so what I want to have here is I want to have exposure to the agents and to the agent launchpad, right? And so in terms of an agent launchpad, you really got like a couple of options. One of them is virtuals, which is the biggest. But if you're buying into virtuals, you're buying into virtuals at a market cap of $2 billion, right? Or I've chosen to go with AI Fund. And the reason why I've chosen to go with AI Fund is because it's a much lower cap, much smaller cap project. It's a $30 million fully diluted project. And I really want some coins in my portfolio that are actually going to explode. Then I'm buying 2 agents. And the 2 agents that I'm buying is I'm buying AIXBT because it's not listed on Binance yet, and it can actually get that Binance listing. And it's got the highest share of mind when it comes to these AI agents. The second one that I'm buying is I'm buying AI16Z. And the reason why I'm buying AI16Z is because this one is an AI agent that is operating an AI-led hedge fund. And the objective of the AI-led hedge fund is to beat A16Z, which is the VC fund. Okay, so those are the 3 agent plays that I've got. All right, then we're moving on to ETH betas. And as I said, I think one of my theses is that ETH is going to outperform Bitcoin in this part of the cycle. And if ETH outperforms Bitcoin in this part of the cycle, then I want to have ETH plays, I want to have Trump plays, and I want to have DeFi plays. And so the first coin that I add is I'm going to add Athena. Reason why I'm adding Athena, it is absolutely exploding in terms of TVL. It's absolutely, let's just see what the TVL is. Let's just quickly see where we can, that's the backing. Let's just see how big the 5.61 billion in TVL, providing a 30% yield or 27% yield. Like you got to have Athena in your bags. So Athena is one of them. ENS, which is the naming service, and Aave, which is the biggest DeFi play on Ethereum. I'm buying those 3. Also, the Trump World Liberty Token is actually built using Aave. So for me, that's the ones that I'm buying. And then in terms of meme coins, I have already got a lot of exposure to memes. I've got Popcat, I've got 𝗥𝗢𝗥𝗚, I've got Worth, I've got all those tokens. I've got Brett. And I need to have some alternative meme exposure. So in terms of alternative meme exposure, I'm now going to start moving to the Bitcoin chain. And then the biggest one is Dog. It's called Dog. It's got about $1 billion market cap. But then you got smaller ones. You got Pups and you got Gizmo, which is 260 million and 38 million. So if you're looking to play meme coins on the Bitcoin chain, then these are the ones that you go on. Now, a lot of you are going, okay, well, where can I buy these Bitcoin things? I don't know how to buy the Bitcoin things. I don't even have a Bitcoin wallet. Just go to CoinMarketCap, click on Dog. Sorry, actually, you could, easier to go onto, hold on. Easier to go onto TradingView. So I went onto TradingView, I clicked on Dog over here, and you can see which Dog USDT, you can see which exchanges it pops up on. So I think it popped up for me on Gate, if I'm not mistaken. So you can, it's available to buy on Gate. There's the live price. It's just under $1 billion market cap. And that is what I would be buying when it comes to the meme coins. Cool. So that's the list. And I've showed you how to build that list. Number 1, ask yourself, what are you buying? And we'll talk in a second about when you're buying it. In terms of what you're buying, what do you believe is going to happen? And then based on what's going to happen is what's wrong with your portfolio, right? Now, let's go on to when you should actually be buying this. Because a lot of people are saying, okay, cool, but should I be buying it now? Should I be buying it tomorrow? You tell me. So let me tell you how I think about this. I'm going to break it down into 2 types of traders. Trader number 1 is a trader that doesn't have 60% or 70% deployed into the market, right? If you are a trader that hasn't got 70% of their portfolio into the market, so if you allocated, say, 30%, 20%, 80%, then what I would start doing is I'd start DCAing, and I start DCAing now, and I'd be buying for the next 4 or 5 weeks, right? Up until the inauguration. If you are more deployed than 70%, then I would wait. And I'll tell you why I would wait. You've already got 70% plus exposure to crypto. And you need to have money to buy the dips when the dips actually arrive, because the dips are going to come. And the worst thing that can happen is that we get a dip and you don't have money to actually buy that dip, right? That's the worst thing that can happen, right? And so what I would say is, look, I'm sitting on 20% cash at the moment, as per my cash emitter. I didn't manage to deploy because last night when the prices were low, last night when the markets were low and the prices were low, then I wasn't awake to actually do those things. And to be honest, I only wanted to deploy if I really get bargains. So if you are sitting in a position where less than 70% of your money is deployed, then I wouldn't be deploying money now. Then I would be deploying money now. If you are more than 70% deployed, I would keep my money in Athena, earn 30%, and wait for an opportunity. Now, here is how I am playing, waiting for the opportunity. Right now, I'm looking at the fear and greed, and I'm saying to myself, what I know is that the market oscillates between fear and greed throughout the bull market, right? So when you look at the bull markets are fear, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed. That's basically how markets actually run. And so the old adage that says buy when others are fearful and sell when others are greedy is exactly what I want to be doing. When others were greedy over here, I freed up my portfolio and I've got 20% in cash. You'll remember, I think the case in point of that was Popcat. And I'm only using this because that was the chart that I actually marked, right? And I've marked the chart over here and I said, here is where people were extra greedy. If you managed to sell here when I told you guys to start exiting, even today, you've saved yourself 36%. You've saved yourself 36%. So what am I doing here? I'm going to start deciding when to deploy only based on one chart. And that chart is the fear and greed chart. It doesn't matter about price. I'm literally going to sit here and wait until the market is panicking. And I'm going to keep my 20% so that I have money for opportunities when the opportunities arise. Let me tell you, there is nothing worse in the world than watching a dip and not having any money to buy the dip. And we know that the bull market is full of dips. And so if you don't have any money to buy the dips when the dips comes, you're gonna kick yourself. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm saying, look, I am deployed over 70%, right? I'm deployed 80%. I've got 20% in cash. Given the fact that I'm 80% deployed, I don't need to rush because 80% of my portfolio is already exposed to the bull market, right? The 20% for me, and whatever you use, I want to keep that for the best opportunities that ever arrive, right? And the best opportunity, and when those opportunities usually arrive, is when the fear and greed index drops to panic. Now, what you'll notice is that even in a bull market, or specifically in a bull market, the fear and greed goes between 90 over here and about here. This is the 2021 bull market. Fear and greed goes from 88 to all the way down to like here, 40. So you're going to get 40-point drops or 50-point drops, 40-point or 50-point drops in the fear and greed in the bull market. And when those 40 and 50-point drops in the fear and greed and the sentiment happen, you want to be available. You want to have money available. I just want to show you an example. All this panic that we had in the last 2 days didn't manage to get the fear and greed anything below 74. Can you imagine what the size of the opportunity is going to be when this thing drops 40 points? And so right now I am positioning myself to have money available. So I'm taking that money, I'm putting it in Athena, I'm putting it on Bybit because I'm getting my 29% APR, which is not locked up, right? Because on Athena it's actually locked up, and I'm chilling and I'm waiting for the opportunities to come. And what I know is when those opportunities come, I've got money to capitalize on those opportunities. I was hoping to get a correction now. It looks like that the market's invalidated the thesis. So it looks like the correction is not going to happen right now. And so I've got 20% cash and I'm keeping that 20% cash to deploy when there are amazing, amazing, amazing opportunities. So that is the framework. You literally ask yourself, what are you buying based on what your beliefs are for the next leg, put your buy list together, and then in terms of deploying, well, you kind of know exactly when you're going to be deploying. If you are less than 70% deployed, start now, because you don't want to be less. You don't want to be less than 70% deployed. If you're more than 70% deployed, keep some money for the opportunities which are bound to present themselves. That is how I'm making my decisions. Tomorrow, we may get an opportunity to deploy. I did think I'd mention this. There is a launch of a token called Lingo. I'm not telling you to buy it because I want to see what happens in their token launch tomorrow. But if this token launch happens tomorrow, and I don't want to know. So if this token launch happens tomorrow, this is a real world asset platform which actually gives their investors rewards. So basically, like, yeah, you can maybe see it over here. I don't want to get a copyright strike though. So you can actually watch it without sound because so basically what they do is they invest in real world assets and they reward their investors in effectively rewards from their favorite retailers and stuff like that. I think you can see it over here on their website. Leverages the first token that leverages real world asset gamification and crypto culture to create community rewards. Let's have a look at it over here. Yeah. 3,000 rewards at brands over here. So that's effectively what they do. Tomorrow is the launch. We'll keep watching the launch. Okay, Hardus, did we do a poll?
Yes, we did.
All right. So I want to remind you guys that from now until Christmas, every day, we are opening Christmas boxes for people that have signed up with Bybit, Blowfin, or BitGet. So if you need a trading account, sign up using a trading account. Sign up using the links below. Now, quickly, if you sign up on Blowfin, there is no KYC, and you get 10% of your fees back for a year. If you sign up on Bybit, you get an unbelievable sign-up bonus. I think you get a $5,000 sign-up bonus, and you get they do KYC. BitGet $30,000 in sign-up deposit rewards. But on top of that, every day between now and Christmas, to celebrate the year, I have to put on this stupid Christmas hat, and I have to draw. What box did they select? Can I have the boxes, sir? Okay. What box is the one that is selected by the thing?
Number 3, sir.
Box number 3. Okay, so here are the boxes over here. Okay, box 1, box 2, box 3 are with me today. Let us pick our winner first. So let us pick the account with the winner. So I'm gonna just go like this, and I'm going to at random. I'm going to select this account over here. So if you are Blowfin account number 992-623-8740. Okay, let me just put it onto the other screen so that you guys can see it. You get whatever is in box number 3. Okay, now the question is, what is in box number 3? Before we get to box number 3, let's open box number 2 and see what is in box number 2. That's $50,000. But you're not getting $50,000. Okay. Let's see what's in box number 1. $500. You're not getting $500, sir. Okay, let's see what is in box number 3. Remember, in box there was a $50,000 and there was a $5,000. And in box number 3, we have what is that? Oh, it's a PlayStation. Okay, so you get a PlayStation. Not bad, but it's not $50,000. All right, so if you are account number 992-623-8740, then you send a mail to giveaways@cryptobanter.com. We will verify. Use the same mail that you used to sign up to this account. We will verify it, and we will send you a PlayStation. We're going to be doing this every day until Christmas, every single day until Christmas. There is $100,000 in one of the boxes that I can guarantee you. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.